guys, welcome back to a brand new video. I'm Rex Finance, and today we have to talk about CleanSpark because I feel that we got some pretty big news today that was kind of swept under the rug. We didn't get a formal press release about it, and it all has to do with the company's Norcross Bitcoin mining facility, and I'll be getting into that in today's video. Really quick though, I have to give a shout out to Jerry83 from StockTwits. He asked me to shout him out in this video, and I thought, why not? But other than this under-the-radar news we got today, I'm also speculating that CleanSpark is getting ready to make a big move in the acquisition field of things. Whether that be a new facility, whether that be a new load of Bitcoin mining rigs, or whether that be acquiring a company in general, or all three of those things packed together. I feel that CleanSpark is getting ready to make a big move soon. I hope all of this is enticing enough for you to stick with me throughout this entire video. But before I get into the good stuff, I have to ask you to hit that like button down below, subscribe if you're new here or returning not yet subscribed, and also comment below how many shares of CleanSpark you own. I'm always curious about that. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this. The under-the-radar news we got today actually came from an investor presentation that Matthew Schultz did today. If you guys aren't aware, Matthew Schultz is the current executive chairman and also co-founder of CleanSpark, the company. The reason this was kind of under the radar news is because this presentation only has 119 views, but there is a lot of information packed into this 25-minute interview that I think is being swept under the rug, and let me show you exactly what is going on. At about 9 minutes and 43 seconds into the interview, Matthew Schultz starts talking about the company's Norcross Bitcoin mining facility, which, if you aren't aware, is entirely dedicated to immersion cooling Bitcoin mining. He basically explains that they've received all of the hardware they need to get this facility up and running, and he also gets into detail and explains how they're actually actively deploying rigs at this facility. This is a big deal because this is going to allow CleanSpark to massively ramp up their Bitcoin mining production. And in fact, if we go to CleanSpark's CFO's page on LinkedIn, he actually posted a picture of them down at this Norcross facility next to a bunch of immersion cooling mining rigs. This is what I feel could have deserved a formal press release today, that they are finally deploying their mining rigs at this facility. This facility has basically been entirely rebuilt, reworked, retooled to allow for this Bitcoin mining production. Now, let me just say really quickly that I believe the lack of news from the company is actually kind of on purpose. I think CleanSpark and the management team are wanting to grow up as a company, basically become an adult company. That sounds wrong. That's not what I mean. But a grown-up company where they don't rely on news to create value for shareholders, where they actually rely on the fundamentals to provide value to shareholders, if that makes any sense. This Norcross facility, in my eyes at least, has the ability to become one of, if not the world's most efficient Bitcoin mining facility, which is a big deal. It all has to do with the immersion cooling, but also the 1,800 solar panels that the company is going to put on the roof of this facility. This location is going to provide the company around 20 megawatts of power, all of which is going to be dedicated to immersion cooling. And immersion cooling increases the efficiency of Bitcoin mining rigs by anywhere between 20 to 30%, which is a big deal. Basically, with the same amount of power, you can mine 20 to 30% more Bitcoin just because the immersion cooling technology is that much more efficient. This is going to be one of the largest Bitcoin mining facilities dedicated entirely to immersion cooling. Matthew Schultz made another point that I thought was very interesting in this interview, where he talked about the legacy energy business that CleanSpark has. Those of you that have followed my channel for a while would know that I've actually been a shareholder of CleanSpark for almost 3 years now, dating back to when they were only a $4 stock, and they were focused entirely on microgrids and renewable energy. Matthew Schultz goes into detail in this interview and basically explains that people are describing it the wrong way, that they are not pivoting away from their legacy energy business segment, but instead they're putting more of an emphasis on their Bitcoin mining segment, because the energy legacy business segment has actually supplemented their development of their Bitcoin mining operations. In the past, CleanSpark's management team was kind of hinting that they were going to divest of that legacy business and basically go all in on Bitcoin mining. But with the way Matthew Schultz described it in this interview, and again, this is entirely interpretation, I could be completely wrong, they're not necessarily dead set on selling that legacy energy business anymore. The last big note that I wanted to cover that was in this interview is the fact that CleanSpark expects to double their hash rate before the end of the calendar year. Right now, we're sitting at around 2.2 exahash of mining capacity, but that's going to grow to anywhere between 4.5 to 5 exahash per second by the end of this calendar year. There is a lot of growth ahead for this company, and I think that's just going to mean good things for shareholders in general. This 4.5 to 5 exahash projection from Matthew Schultz is actually ahead of the company's previous projections for their mining hash rate goals by the end of 2022. The reason this is very interesting, and this is also why I believe CleanSpark is the best Bitcoin mining stock to own right now, is because almost every other, if not every other Bitcoin mining company out there has consistently been behind on their projections and behind on their guidance. This company, this management team has been ahead of the game, ahead of those projections, ahead of their guidance, which I think is a good thing if they can continue to do that. And this leads me right into the next segment of this video of why I believe CleanSpark is the best Bitcoin mining stock to own. It all has to start with the fact that CleanSpark has not diluted shareholders since November of last year. In fact, the only time they're willing to dilute shareholders is for accretive growth, not operating expenditures like paying salaries or paying wages of employees. That is vastly different from all of the other Bitcoin mining stocks out there who have a 100% HODL Bitcoin strategy, where they mine their Bitcoin and they hold on to every single Bitcoin they mine. What investors don't realize is that somebody is paying for the 100% HODL strategy. Somebody is paying the salaries of the management team and the employees. Facilities are expensive. Equipment is expensive. Energy is expensive. Paying an advanced employee base is an expensive thing to do. And if a company is not willing to sell any of their Bitcoin to fund any of those expenditures, that is going to come straight out of the shareholders' pockets via dilution. The main priority of every single publicly traded company is to deliver value to shareholders via earnings and profitability, whether that be stock buybacks or dividends or capital gains, increasing the value of their company. However, with a 100% HODL strategy, if Bitcoin doubles over the next year, sure, that's a great thing. But if a company that uses that strategy has to also double their share count to pay all these expenditures because they're not willing to sell that Bitcoin, that's a net no gain for shareholders. CleanSpark has even came out and said that they expect with continued profitability to return capital to shareholders, including but not limited to stock buybacks or dividends. Can you name a single other Bitcoin mining company out there that has even uttered the words share buyback or dividends? There isn't one. CleanSpark is the only one that is focused on returning capital to shareholders right now. I also just mentioned a moment ago that CleanSpark's management team has not sold a single additional share to the public markets since November of last year. And if we look at the numbers, this is showing. CleanSpark year to date is up 36.5%. Marathon, one of their competitors, is down 5.32% year to date. Riot is barely up 1%. Bitfarms is down 16%. Hut is down 26%. And Core Scientific is down 16.5%. And if we go all the way back to November of last year, since the November highs, CleanSpark is only down 41%. I know it sounds terrible, but in comparison to some of these other Bitcoin miners, it's pretty good outperformance. For example, Marathon is down 59% from their November highs. Riot is down almost 48% from their November highs. Bitfarms is down 52%. Hut 8 is down 61.5%. And Core Scientific is down 39% from its November highs. CleanSpark continues to outperform, and as long as the management team continues to focus on returning capital to shareholders, and as long as they continue to have that shareholder-first mentality, this outperformance is going to continue. Year to date, that outperformance is drastic. And I believe this is going to continue. Now let's go ahead and discuss the big move that I believe CleanSpark is going to make in the relatively short term. Just a side note, this is entirely speculation, and I could be completely wrong about everything I'm about to say. The only reason that I believe CleanSpark is gearing up to make a big move is because anytime they've come out publicly and spoken, they've talked about debt and how they're talking and trying to find an attractive debt offering for the company. It's even listed out here on the investor presentation. They boast how they currently have no long-term debt, and it provides the opportunity to leverage their balance sheet. And that debt capital is currently the lowest cost of capital. And that growth plans can be accelerated with expansion of debt capital. Generally, when you enter the debt markets, you're not looking to borrow small amounts of money. Generally, you're looking to borrow millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars to make a big move in the markets. I believe that as long as dilution for the most part stays out of this could be extremely beneficial to us shareholders. Again, it's entirely speculation, but it just seems like no coincidence that the management team has continued to talk about how they have no long-term debt currently and how they're in talks and they're trying to find an attractive debt offering to take on for the company. Again, I believe this could be a multitude of things. One being potentially a new facility to host their Bitcoin mining rigs that they're going to take delivery of over the coming months. Or it could be just a new huge purchase of Bitcoin mining rigs because the price of mining rigs have come down dramatically, and a lot of Bitcoin mining rigs that have been previously purchased by companies are starting to come back into the market for sale because other companies simply don't have the power capacity to host their Bitcoin mining rigs. Marathon. Another option would be acquiring a company in whole. Maybe a company that has an abundant access to clean energy, but maybe doesn't have the expertise or the mining rigs to fully develop their Bitcoin mining operation. The last option would be a combination of all three of those things, which I think is definitely on the table. Again, this is entirely speculation, and I could be wrong about all of this. I just believe big things are coming for CleanSpark, and it's going to mean good things for CleanSpark shareholders, as it already has, up 36.5% year to date. But with that, guys, I'm going to end this video here. Again, leave a comment down below how many shares of CleanSpark you own. Leave a like down below if you enjoy this type of video. And if you guys are new here or returning and not yet subscribed, I would greatly appreciate hitting that subscribe button down below. With that, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Stay blessed. I'll be back with a brand new video later this week. Peace out.